This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
All right, I want to open my show today with a really sad story that's come in from the United States of a girl who has died under mysterious circumstances. The parents, without any hard evidence, are now forced to say and ask for a death declaration. Her body hasn't yet been found. I'm talking here of Sudiksha Konanki. And the reason to why I start with this story is it's not just because of this one case here. It seems like there are growing concerns about Indians' safety abroad. Students who are studying, particularly in the United States, have been facing several attacks. Gut-wrenching story here is to see the parents of the 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki, a very bright young girl, Indian student studying in the United States. Her parents there weeping as they request authorities in the Dominican Republic to declare their daughter dead. 2 weeks of relentless searching have yielded no results and no answers. Her body is still not found. Officials are yet looking for her. Sudiksha, we know, is a student of the University of Pittsburgh, Virginia. She traveled to Dominican Republic with her friends for a spring break trip. About a 3 to 4 hour flight journey that this was. What was really meant to be just a getaway with her friends, unfortunately for her, turned into a nightmare. That's the footage there, CCTV footage you see. Just before she vanished, she was seen with a man on that island, someone who she met right on that island itself on March 6th. Sudiksha was last seen there, headed towards the beach near the Rio Republica Hotel with her group of friends. And then her friends left. We hear that Sudiksha decided to stay back with her newfound friend on that island, Joshua Rib. Now, hours later, a CCTV footage that's now surfaced that we showed you on our screens earlier shows how she was walking away with Joshua Rib, who seems to be the accused here. Reports indicate that during questioning, Joshua Rib changed his version of the case. When he was asked by police, he's changed his stance multiple times, giving different answers. Now, despite extensive search efforts, including an Interpol yellow notice that's been issued to locate her, there seems to be no trace of Sudiksha. No leads there. Her grieving parents, Subbarayudu and Sridevi Konanki, have now made the agonizing decision to request authorities to close this case. In fact, they've stated that they trust the investigation and believe that their daughter likely drowned. Very tragic for the family itself to finally buckle here. Joshua Rib has reportedly claimed that he and Sudiksha went into the ocean to the night, and while they were trying to swim, harsh waves hit them, and then he lost sight of her. This was his claim to the police. The questions, of course, many of them still remain unanswered. If Joshua Rib is not the suspect, why was his passport confiscated? What really happened in those crucial hours after Sudiksha stayed back with him? And why was the investigation so far, at least the officers who are carrying out the investigation so far, have not been able to actually come to a conclusive answer on what happened? The shifting stances of Joshua also deepens the mystery. If this was simply a tragic accident, why such uncertainty looms here? The case's abrupt closure raises several questions, but not just about Sudiksha alone. This also raises concerns about the safety of several Indian students. Let me tell you specifically in the United States. In just the last 5 years, 108 Indian students have died in the US under different circumstances, either accident, violent crimes, sudden medical emergencies. In fact, just last year alone, 10 Indian students have lost their lives under mysterious circumstances. This comes at a time when Indian students at this point, as I speak, are the largest cohort studying abroad now. Indians have even surpassed nationalities like Chinese. A staggering figure tells us that in 2024 alone, 1.3 million Indian students are currently pursuing their higher education internationally. They've even overtaken Chinese students at 1 million. And a staggering 330,000 Indian students study in the United States alone. So this is a growing concern, but what really is unsettling here is the heartbreaking story of Sudiksha. Her body is still to be found, and yet even before they could find it, the parents have decided that she has already drowned because they want to settle their emotion. Of course, this is not something that will go away. It will continue to haunt them forever. We know that. But maybe the fact that the body hasn't yet been found could lead to a glimmer of hope that she may just return somehow. Whatever it is, this pain now of uncertainty is immeasurable. Now, shifting our focus to Aadhaar card being linked to voters' ID. It's of course something that the opposition has been raising concerns of and slamming the Election Commission time and again, claiming that there are fake voters added to voters' list. Now, years of those allegations, Election Commission has not really taken a hard stance, but finally it seems like the EC has decided to tackle this issue. And they've decided to do it by linking Aadhaar to voter ID numbers. Remember, it's not yet been done. It's going to be discussed by an expert committee, and only then will this be taken forward. But the move we hear is aimed at eliminating duplicate voter IDs. And this move is, in fact, this is being mulled over right in time when Mamata Banerjee, Chief Minister of West Bengal, one of the opposition leaders, accused the BJP of adding fake voter IDs to electoral lists, which BJP has denied. Now, EC is all set to come up with a fix here. We see the Congress, instead of welcoming the reform, has slammed the Election Commission, calling it proof of guilt, saying this is admission that voters' lists are suspicious and dubious. Aiming at the 2024 Maharashtra elections that passed already now, Congress is now demanding that Maharashtra's complete 2024 electoral rolls be made public. The party claims that they saw a sudden spike in the recently held Maharashtra elections in registered voters list, very different from what it was in Lok Sabha and what it was in the Vidhan Sabha, the recently held assembly elections. So, according to them, this difference suggests a massive fake addition of voters in those lists. Now, to counter these allegations and tighten voter verification, the EC has now announced consultations with the UIDAI to be linking Aadhaar with the elector's photo identification card, the voter's ID as it's called. The Election Commission believes that this step will eliminate fraudulent registrations. Rahul Gandhi, on his part, while all this while has been slamming the EC for not doing much when the EC has done it, he has said this could also lead to a fallout. It could lead to barriers. Well, concerns welcome here, but then what's the best solution? Rahul Gandhi says this move could end up excluding the poorest of the poor and the marginalized from the voters list because many of them struggle with documentation. For the poor, he says and believes that it's very difficult to get an Aadhaar card registered and then to link it with the voter's ID will just demotivate them and eventually exclude them from the voters list itself. Election Commission maintains that all this process will be done keeping the Constitution provisions in mind and Supreme Court guidelines. Remember, you have elections that's coming now in key states like Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, Assam. Will voter ID linking with Aadhaar really restore trust in the India's electoral system? Well, I believe it might just.
जिस तरह महाराष्ट्र में 48 लाख कार्ड बने वो सब एक ही पार्टी को गए और ये बने भी कब लोकसभा और विधानसभा के चुनाव के बीच तो तमाम मतदाता लाए गए बाहर से उन्होंने वोट डाला एक ही नंबर है जो नंबर होता है उसका एक ही नंबर पे कई कार्ड बने हुए तो मैं समझता हूं आने दीजिए हम प्रतीक्षा करेंगे इससे कुछ तो प्रतिबंध होगा और ये हमारी मांग थी इलेक्शन कमीशन से
All right, shifting our focus to the high tensions that now prevail in Nagpur, Maharashtra. Remember, Nagpur is the home bastion of Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. Their MP there, Nitin Gadkari, is a BJP MP. And yet we saw violent clashes, riots that broke out. Now, police have arrested this man called Fahim Shamim Khan, the alleged mastermind behind the unrest. That's what the police dubs him to be. The man on your screens here, he's a Nagpur president of the Minority Democratic Party. He's contested the 2024 Lok Sabha elections against Gadkari, but suffered a humiliating defeat. He got only 1,000 votes there, but seems to be fairly popular. Now he finds himself at the center of a major investigation into this violence. Khan, we hear, has been sent to police custody. He's going to be in their custody until 21st of March. He's been produced before court. Police have also filed cases against 51 others And in the latest we hear today, 8 VHP and Bajrang Dal workers have also been arrested. They reportedly surrendered themselves before the Kotwali police station in Nagpur. Authorities are still working to identify those who were involved in vandalism. Images there showing how stones were pelted at stores and property was damaged, set on fire. So this is precisely what the authorities are very keenly looking into, and who are those vandals who involve themselves in such large-scale violence. VHP leader Rajkumar Sharma claims that there was a call that came in from a mosque near the Chitnis Park that sparked the gathering, basically calling all Muslims to come together and unleash this violence. That's what the VHP member says. And he demands that action must be taken against the mosque trustees and the clerics who are allegedly involved. Now, on the other part, there are allegations that the same VHP and the Bajrang Dal members burnt a cloth with Islamic verses that was written on it while during their protest against Aurangzeb's tomb. Of course, the VHP has strongly denied these allegations, and they insist that demonstrations were peaceful. All right, shifting our focus here to Telangana. It's made history now by becoming the first state to implement reservations based on the caste survey that they've carried out. Remember, Rahul Gandhi insists and insisted all through the last year that he wants to ensure caste survey across the country, something that the BJP has resisted, saying that this perpetuates caste system. Now, the Legislative Assembly in Telangana has passed a key bill increasing reservation for backward classes to 42% in government jobs, in educational institutions and in local body elections. The new quota structure raises reservations for SCs from 15% to 18% and for STs from 6% to 10%. And this pushes a total reservation now to a whopping 70%. So Telangana, if this bill is cleared, will have 70% reservation for its people, the backward classes, OBCs largely. The catch here is that so far, the cap for reservation in any state set by the Supreme Court itself is 50%. And to change any of this, it needs the centre's approval. Telangana is only the third state to conduct a caste survey. It follows Bihar and Karnataka. Both have conducted it. But in Bihar's case, when the state tried to increase reservations there based on its survey, the Patna High Court struck it down, calling it unconstitutional. So Telangana now, of course, faces legal hurdles, sparking a nationwide debate on caste-based reservations. Chief Minister Revanth Reddy has called this bill a historic step towards social justice. He's also assured that he is going to seek a meeting from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He'll discuss the issue with him and ensure it's passed. Rahul Gandhi, as expected, along with his sister MP Priyanka Gandhi, hailing this move, saying this is revolutionary, that Congress will push for a nationwide caste census. In fact, looking closely, the Congress, as much as it demands a caste survey, has managed to implement it based on the caste survey report, has given reservation to those deserving groups. According to them, their election promise in states where they've won, they've delivered. Telangana Minister Ponnam Prabhakar says that the Congress will fight in the Parliament to get this bill included in the 9th schedule of the Constitution, which would shield it from any legal challenges henceforth.
बात के ऊपर हम लोग जो कैस्ट सर्वे किया गया उसके मुताबिक हमने 42% रिजर्वेशन बिल कल असेंबली में पास किया गया है। हम ये उम्मीद करते हैं कि क्योंकि आने वाला दिन में केंद्र सरकार भी इसके 9 शेड्यूल में लगा के इसको अमल करेगा, क्योंकि 40% जो ईडब्ल्यूएस स्कीम को 10% दे के वो 50% कैप को हटा दिया ऑलरेडी, तो हमारा भी 42% बीसी रिजर्वेशन का भी ऐसी होगा। विपक्ष का नेता हैसियत पे राहुल गांधी जी लोकसभा में लड़ेंगे और पार्लियामेंट में यह मजबूरी होगा, इसको अमल करना पड़ेगा। हम लोग उम्मीद करते हैं कि 42% रिजर्वेशन तेलंगाना बीसी के लिए मिलेगा।
Now, remember, Telangana's move is certainly bold, but is it legally viable? The 50% cap has been upheld by the Supreme Court multiple times, and previous attempts, though, with the same, has failed. They've not been successful with this regard in many other states, like I said, Bihar. So if Telangana succeeds here, it could set precedents for other states as well. If it fails, then it could expose Congress to immense backlash from those whose hopes now rests on this bill entirely. This could, remember, shape India's reservation policies forever.
ये बजट देखने के बाद 6 गारंटी और 420 वादे जो इन्होंने किए, उन सबका आज गोविंदा गोविंदा कर दिया। दफना दिया और खत्म कर दिया। लगता है कि कोई इरादा नहीं है, कोई मन नहीं है कांग्रेस सरकार का कि जो वादा देके वोट लिया, एससी डिक्लेरेशन, एसटी डिक्लेरेशन, किसान डिक्लेरेशन, स्वयं राहुल गांधी जी, मैडम प्रियंका गांधी जी, खारगे जी, सिद्धरामैया जी, बड़े बड़े हस्ती जो हिंदुस्तान के कांग्रेस पार्टी के हैं, पूरे आए थे तेलंगाना और उन्होंने वादा किया था। आज दूसरी बजट कांग्रेस पार्टी की देखने के बाद यही समझ आया कि हर किसी के साथ उन्होंने धोखा किया।
ये बजट में सिवाय गोलमाल करने के और कुछ नहीं। लास्ट ईयर का जो बजट था वो ना बजट सही तरीके से खर्चा किया गया। इलेक्शन से पहले जो वायदे लिए गए थे, आवाम से बड़े वायदे किए गए थे, आवाम को बड़ी उम्मीदें थी कि कांग्रेस बनेगी तो बहुत मदद करेगी। हर कम्युनिटी को वायदे किए गए, खासतौर से माइनॉरिटीज के लिए।
जो इलेक्शन से पहले सत्ता में आने के लिए उन्होंने जो वादा किए थे और ऊपर से राहुल गांधी जी को दिल्ली से लाके भी उनसे वादा दिलाए थे, वो पूरे वादे आज तोड़ा गया। बजट में कोई एलोकेशन नहीं है। जो पुराने बजट में जो एलोकेशन थे उसमें 5% कुछ उसमें खर्चा भी नहीं हुआ है। अरे जब बीसी के बारे में इतना बड़ा सा बात करें ना, बीसी रिजर्वेशन के बारे में कल नहीं परसों में असेंबली में बहुत बड़ा चर्चा हुआ ना। आज बीसीओ की जो एलोकेशन करे हैं, आज शर्म से कांग्रेस पार्टी वाले घर में बैठना चाहिए। आज सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट जो स्कीम दे रहा है, जो चल रहा है तेलंगाना में, उसी के बारे में खुद के स्कीम के जैसा बताने की कोशिश करे। अरे खास करके किसानों के जो फसल बीमा के बारे में गए सो बजट में एलोकेशन किए हैं, मगर 1 करोड़ पैसा भी खर्च किए नहीं, और इस बजट में तो 1 रुपया भी एलोकेशन नहीं है।
All right, let me take you through this horrific murder that's come to fore from Uttar Pradesh's Meerut. Merchant Navy officer was brutally hacked to death by his own wife and her lover. To take you through these details, the Merchant Navy officer, Saurabh Rajput, he was killed. His body was chopped into 15 pieces and sealed in a cement-filled drum. The accused was his own wife. We hear Muskan Rastogi was in a relationship with Sahil Shukla. Both of them decided to hatch a plan and murder the Merchant Navy officer, who very sadly had come home to be part of his daughter's birthday. But instead of a celebration there, he was met with that cold-blooded betrayal. 4th of March, Muskan and Sahil, we hear, as per police reports, killed him. They chopped his body, dismembered it, tried to erase all traces, dumped it in that plastic cement-filled bucket, as you see on our screens. And they thought they could cover their tracks very well. They used their phone to post pictures, making it seem like as if Saurabh is still alive. And they took off, both of them took off to holiday in the hills. Himachal is what we hear, where they went and they were holidaying. And while they were holidaying, they were putting up fake messages from Saurabh's phone just to show that he was alive or he was in a different location. Now, police complaint was filed, and the shocker here, that it was filed by Muskan's mother itself. This is Muskan's own parents who got her arrested. They're very upset with what has happened and they've disowned her. They demand that she be hanged. Muskan's parents reveal that their own daughter and Sahil, the man that she was in a relationship with, were both drug addicts, and they wanted Saurabh out of their way. They claim that Sahil feared Saurabh would stop their drug-fueled meetings, and so they decided to kill him. Saurabh has defied his family. The story behind Saurabh marrying Muskan is very heartbreaking. We hear that he fought with his family members. He left behind all his property worth crores of rupees, all to marry Muskan. And he decided even to quit the Merchant Navy to be with her. He gave up everything, but this is what he got. All right, heat wave warnings that's come across the country, and seems like Karnataka is going to be bearing the brunt. Very tragic to know that my state and city, Bengaluru, is going to be possibly the hottest this year. And in an international report, it seems to be the only southern state amongst the entire country. Within India, only southern state that's going to be hit with a heat wave is Karnataka. The India Met Department has issued a heat alert for north interior Karnataka, warning extreme heat could persist in the coming days. Bengaluru, a city that is right now hotter than Delhi and Mumbai, is going to be recording temperatures as much as 35 degrees Celsius. And there's no relief Forecast suggests temperatures will range between 21.2 degrees Celsius to 33.8, with humidity at 33%, making conditions even more uncomfortable. Now, with the heat wave, what we know, water is also going to be a big issue. We hear Bengaluru is already struggling with a shortage of water, so this is going to only worsen. Many private tankers are charging exorbitant prices for water, so it could also hurt your pocket. So beware. Authorities claim that the situation has improved since last year, but relief seems to be out of reach. This I'm speaking with regards to water availability, particularly in Bengaluru. BWSSB chair speaks.
Problem is not about supply, it is about the demand side issue. If we don't waste the water, if we save the water, if we reuse the water, definitely there is a lot of scope to prevent this water scarcity issue. And unlike last year, which we have faced very severe kind of water scarcity, and today with all our team efforts, we are able to pull this kind of issues. And under the leadership of Deputy Chief Minister, we are able to successfully manage the current situation. And we are also confident that Bengaluru will be successfully crossing over the summer.
Now, like I did mention, there is an international report that says that Bengaluru is among the 9 Indian cities where heat-linked deaths could rise this year. Experts predict that longer, more frequent and deadlier heat waves will become the new normal going forward, putting millions at risk of heat stroke, of dehydration, of severe health complications. So advice is that you get up. Now, shifting our focus to Jammu and Kashmir, major terror that seems to have been averted. Security officials there in Kashmir have recovered and destroyed 7 IEDs in different parts of the valley over the last 7 days. Terrorists continue to target security convoys. Alert forces have been successfully thwarting their plans. The latest incident, an IED was recovered late at night in Avantipora Ghat, Takuna area. It was safely neutralized by the bomb disposal squad. Another IED was also found in Bandipora-Srinagar highway, forcing authorities to halt traffic there for hours. Now, following recent terror attacks in Pakistan, including the killing of the top Lashkar-e-Taiba commander, high security alert has been sounded across Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces have been ordered to maintain strict surveillance, especially on soft targets. Officials direct all protected persons, including politicians, to follow strict security protocols. Their movements should be kept secret. They've been advised that they take their security personnel with them everywhere and promptly, basically, do not divulge details about where they're going, who they're meeting, and ensure they strictly verify the areas they visit. So a lot of their movement has also been prohibited. Shashi Tharoor at his best. He's taken a big U-turn from saying at one point that he's not very happy with the way Prime Minister Modi has decided to hobnob with Russia's Putin, of buying fuel and oil from Russia is not the wisest. But now the same Shashi Tharoor taking that U-turn, he says I was wrong. Speaking at the Raisina dialogue in Delhi, Shashi Tharoor, with full humility, says, I'm still wiping that egg off my face. Well, humility certainly appreciated. I'm going to take you through exactly what he said.
Yes, I'm still wiping the egg off my face because I was the one person in the parliamentary debate who actually criticized the Indian position at the time, back in February 22, that there was a violation of the UN Charter, that there had been a violation of the principle of the inviolability of borders, of the sovereignty of a member state, namely Ukraine, and we had always stood for the inadmissibility of the use of force to settle international disputes, and all of those principles, I said, had been violated by one party, and we should have condemned it. Well, a couple of years later, 3 years later, it does look like I'm the one with egg on my face, because clearly the policy has meant that India has actually a prime minister who can hug both the president of Ukraine and the president of Moscow 2 weeks apart and be accepted in both places. And therefore, India is in a position where it can make a difference.
All right, BJP leaders said this was very good, very surprising and good to see. Congress leaders are finally acknowledging Prime Minister Modi's global stature. But also at the same time took a jibe saying we hope Congress doesn't now crack down and take action against Shashi Tharoor there for saying what he did.
शशि थरूर जी परिपक्व हैं, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मामलों के न सिर्फ जानकार हैं लेकिन अनुभवी हैं। यूनाइटेड नेशंस में बहुत बड़ा उनका किरदार योगदान रहा है, बहुत बड़े पद पर थे। उनसे सीखना चाहिए कांग्रेस पार्टी को। और शशि थरूर जी कह रहे हैं कि आप देखिए नरेंद्र मोदी जी को कि वो पुतिन को भी और जेलेंस्की को भी गले लगाते हैं। वो ये तक कह रहे हैं कि जो शांति वार्ता की शुरुआत हुई है और जो पहल की है प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने, उसके वो कायल हैं।
All right, the world was watching. Quite a fascinating touchdown it was for Sunita Williams and co. The astronauts who were stuck in space for nearly 9 months finally splashed down off Florida and ended this ordeal. They are now being taken to 45 days of rehabilitation. A lot of health impact, but here's what happened earlier today that kept the world hooked.
NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams finally returned to Earth in a SpaceX capsule on Tuesday. The crew enjoyed a soft splashdown off Florida's coast and were welcomed back by a pod of curious dolphins. Their return caps a protracted space mission that was fraught with uncertainty, technical problems, and political spectacle. They were stuck in space for 9 months after their faulty Boeing Starliner craft upended what was meant to be a week-long stay on the International Space Station. Issues with the Starliner's propulsion system led to cascading delays to their return home. Then the mission got caught up in politics after it captured the attention of US President Donald Trump. He called for a quicker return of Wilmore and Williams when he took office. He also alleged, without evidence, that former President Joe Biden abandoned the pair on the ISS for political reasons. NASA acted on Trump's demands by moving Crew 9's replacement mission up sooner, according to the agency's ISS chief, Joel Montalbano, on Tuesday.
See, we work for the president, and who's ever there, we work for them. We had an input from that office. We took a look at it. And, you know, our job is to take all the inputs we get and operate as successful and safely as we can. And that's what we did for this administration, and that's what we would do for any administration.
The agency had swapped a delayed SpaceX capsule for one that would be ready more quickly. They said they sped through its methodical safety review process to heed the president's call. Wilmore told reporters earlier this month on a call from the ISS that he did not believe NASA's decision to keep them on the station had been affected by politics under the Biden administration. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, a close advisor to Trump, had echoed Trump's call for an earlier return. He said the Biden administration spurned a SpaceX offer to provide a dedicated Dragon spacecraft rescue mission last year. NASA officials said the 2 astronauts had to remain on the ISS to maintain adequate staffing levels. They said they did not have the budget or the operational need to send a dedicated rescue spacecraft. Crew Dragon flights cost between $100 million to $150 million. Boeing had hoped Starliner would compete with the SpaceX capsule, but this mission has thrown its development future into uncertainty. NASA's Commercial Crew Program Chief, Steve Stick, said on Tuesday that Starliner needs more tests before it routinely carries US astronauts.
You know, we're certainly looking at Starliner very carefully. We're in the process of looking at that vehicle, looking at the helium system. We've got some candidate seals that we're going to replace. We'll get into some testing here over the summer timeframe with what we call an integrated doghouse at White Sands. So we're looking at that.
Boeing, which congratulated the astronauts' return on X, did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
All right, that's it on our day tonight. We're going to slip into a short break, coming back on the other side into our deep dive, where we're going to take you through a harrowing ordeal for several elderly Indian families who are threatened of deportation. Many of them who legally got their green card are being asked to voluntarily give up their green cards and go back to India. Taking you through this on the other side of a short break. Do stay with us.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.